Humiliate.
Humiliate.
And then when he's naked, I can throw him out in the front yard and lock the door, and then all my neighbors will just humiliate him.
And then you humiliate me by stealing my boss's car.
So I have to humiliate you.
They made me lose on Marty just to humiliate me.
You humiliate me in front of the foreign secretary.
使丢脸
Humor.
Humor.
Perfectly good, tender, sentimental, have not the tiniest sense of humour, speak several foreign languages brilliantly, and be wonderful at music, obviously.
There's no sense of humor.
I love your sense of humor. It's my attempt at humor. It was just...
You have a sense of humor too. 幽默迎合
Humorous.
Humorous.
Mr. Hillard, do you consider yourself humorous?
The Royal Navy is not a humorous institution, sir, and insubordination is no laughing matter.
You find us humorous?
You retold a humorous story where your dad thought the killer might be in the factory area because his friend Lou, you referred to him as Louie.
You think this is a humorous occasion?
富幽默感的
Humor.
Humor.
Easily dominated, no sense of humor, tedious company, and irrepressibly drab and awful.
I mean, he has to boost himself up with a sense of humor.
And presently, through all thy veins shall run a cold and drowsy humor.
You lost your sense of humor?
Your sense of humor.
幽默使满足
100.
100.
$100 for second base?
Yeah.
Second, would you please tell your friend Arlene here that I think she's the most beautiful woman I've seen in over 300 years?
I've been to the MoMA like 100 times.
The least you can do is help me get the last 100 yards.
What lunatic takes kids for a walk when it's 100 degrees outside?
100 100的
Hunger.
Hunger.
But deep down, we both possess the same hunger for freedom.
Hunger can change everything you ever thought you knew about yourself.
I love the hunger.
I will devote my entire reign as Miss Wichita to bringing an end to world hunger and to the creation of a peaceful earth.
Together, you and I will replenish the world, kill hunger and thirst and...
饥饿使挨饿挨饿
Hungry.
Hungry.
Aren't you hungry? Because I'm hungry. I'm getting hungry.
It's lunchtime, and I am suddenly hungry.
You hungry?
饥饿的
Hunt.
Hunt.
And by summer job hunt, I mean kicking it poolside at Carly's.
Greek goddess of the hunt.
I'll let you help me hunt.
Really? I've been on a hunt with cats.
狩猎打猎
Hunter.
Hunter.
Hunter, was that his name?
Lieutenant Jack Death, you are once again a trancer hunter, first class.
Man, they're gonna be here in... Miss Hunter!
Okay, so is Chaz Hunter like really tall or just kind of tall?
So what if he's a double-crossing mercenary treasure hunter? 猎人
Hurdle.
Hurdle.
All alone you hurdle every obstacle in sight.
He's our final hurdle.
Okay, next hurdle.
Telling you, buddy, you get past this little hurdle.
You gotta stay low all the way through the hurdle, okay?
障碍用篱笆围
Hurl.
Hurl.
Because if you say I one more time, I'm going to actually hurl something at your head, I think.
Don't hurl insults at chicory.
I can hurl it off the balcony.
I say hurl. The gods hurl thunderbolts.
用力的投掷用力投掷猛投
Hurricane.
Hurricane.
After the hurricane? They say the hurricane is coming.
We're on an island in the middle of the ocean during a hurricane.
Well, I mean, guys, we could, if we completely fail, the star gets into the wrong hands and, creates a hurricane in Pompeii or something. Just saying.
You're a kite dancing in a hurricane, Mr. Bond.
飓风
Hurry.
Hurry.
Hurry up with the very fabulous.
Hurry, you might catch him.
Please hurry.
Actually, I'm in kind of a hurry.
Oh, you better hurry up.
匆忙急派
Hurt.
Hurt.
Hurt so much that you don't think you're gonna make it.
I know you don't want to hurt your parents, but sometimes they forget.
Well, believe me, I don't want to get hurt either.
Wow, just when Hurt made it to his feet.
You'd never do anything to hurt a patient.
伤害
Husband.
Husband.
I'm not leaving my husband.
If you're never going to see your husband, you might as well have a relationship with his money.
Jeez. There's a Russian prostitute in my kitchen talking diaper genies and infant diarrhea with my husband.
Right? I'd even settle for a husband.
So my sister gets all pissed off because her husband, their father, teaches at the school, except for he's on medical leave for substance abuse treatment.
丈夫节俭
Hut.
Hut.
Can you show me the hut?
I plan to build a hut.
I've spent entirely too much of my life worried about what you think of me, or what my parents think of me, or the boys in Hut 8 or the girls in Hut 3, and you knew what?
This is a hut. You order from the Greek hut?
小屋住在茅舍
Hybrid.
Hybrid.
In order to survive 2 decades of dating in New York, Samantha had become a powerful hybrid. The ego of a man trapped in the body of a woman.
Now that the world is going to be run peacefully, we should all drive hybrid cars.
We needed to use our shape-shifting abilities to blend in with the humans who were hybrid of gray aliens and apes.
Yeah, hybrid car.
Yes, we're principally working on a new hybrid car.
混血儿混合的
Hydrogen.
Hydrogen.
The hydrogen bomb can be made to work, Oppie.
During your work on the hydrogen bomb, were you deterred by any moral qualms?
Hydrogen cyanide?
Hydrogen gas?
No, it is not an academic thing whether you can build a hydrogen bomb.
氢
Hygiene.
Hygiene.
Hygiene or something.
Sent home for hygiene issues at least once a month.
She lectures on Muslim women on hygiene and diet.
She said that perhaps his obsessiveness didn't leave room in his schedule for personal hygiene.
Well, we got a call that they did convert you to a mental hygiene law admission status by the deadline of your sentence, so...
Wait a minute.
卫生保健
Him.
Him.
A hymn of praise to small town life, where we learn that you don't have to leave home to discover what the world's all about, and that no one is poor who has friends.
At the end, he sang a hymn.
Cigarette cases, yes, but I've never seen it happen to a hymn book before, except on the movies.
Father, all I'm asking is to play a hymn for Matt before his execution.
Sing me a hymn.
赞美诗唱赞美歌
Hypnotic.
Hypnotic.
He planted a hypnotic suggestion for me to kill myself.
His breathing's hypnotic.
Hypnotic illusions don't tear people apart.
It is a strong hypnotic.
Will induce a hypnotic state and force him to re-experience some of the major traumas of his life.
催眠的催眠药
Hypothesis.
Hypothesis.
As Laplace said, I have no need of that hypothesis.
I'm trying to solve the Riemann hypothesis.
My hypothesis. Within the stock market, there is a pattern. Right in front of me.
No, it's more of an attempt to construct a viable hypothesis to explain the meaning of life.
Thus, all but proving the hypothesis of celestial flirtation.
假设
Hypothetical.
Hypothetical.
I can assure you, sex is the last thing on this fucking hypothetical woman patient's mind.
Couldn't hold the hypothetical in my mind.
It was the hypothetical brainchild of Chief Attlee.
Okay, I have a hypothetical. To try to get to the new hypothetical kids.
假设的
Ice.
Besides the traditional seeds and weeds, I've got brownies, cookies, ice cream, even newfangled lemonade.
But why they don't offer more ice with their drinks, I shall never understand.
Fire and ice, she sure is.
So, what I'm saying is, don't you think it's a little odd that the ice hasn't melted yet?
Sometimes 1,000 twangling instruments will hum about mine ears, and sometimes voices.
冰使结冰结冰
Icon.
Icon.
A young woman racked by self-doubt becomes a Hollywood icon.
Exploding on
the scene after being voted as America's national icon, Jordan dropped 1, 2, 3 #1 singles in a row.
First it was figure skating, then it was acting, and then you want to be a music icon, and then it's fashion design.
Once an icon of justice and a model for crusaders, Jack Doyle is behind bars tonight. Evelyn?
画像
ID.
ID.
A huge crowd full of huge Midwestern people looking all disapproving and judging me while sipping little cups of mayonnaise and cracking runaway bride jokes all night long.
Even hotter and more humid than this place.
I never did get used to the humidity here.
It's too humid down here. Jesus, it's just the humidity down here.
遗传素质
Idea.
Idea.
Because you don't have any idea.
I have no idea what the fuck you think, Tara, but I'll tell you what I think.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You have no idea. Your dad and I got an idea.
主意
Ideal.
Ideal.
And if we made a list of books or works of art which we both know, it would form the ideal basis of a discussion.
I want someone more aspirational. Ideal rather than real.
Look, I know it's not ideal, but if you want a fast sale, this is your best bet.
That's no ideal to me.
When we did this before, we spent a few sessions devising a rubric for candidate evaluations, one based on more humanistic ideals.
理想的
Identical.
Identical.
Come on, they're identical.
Incredibly, the names of the two victims are virtually identical.
And the rails are actually hyperspace ribbons, but in every other respect, identical.
The ejection marks on the shells fired from the suspect shotguns are identical to the marks on the shell casings found at the Night Owl.
Two people can't have identical DNA.
统一的
Identifiable.
Identifiable.
Identifiable prints?
It'll make these bills more identifiable.
Nice, easily identifiable faces.
Those that are identifiable will be tagged.
3 faces, readily identifiable.
可辨认的
Identification.
Identification.
Assistant DA Joseph Brownlee has asked the public for their help in the identification and apprehension of the Redmond killers.
At this very moment, those pictures are on the way to Washington, where the FBI has experts in this type of identification.
Our surveillance cameras captured several images of the terrorists, though the mask obviously makes retinal identification impossible.
Well, of course, you know we require identification.
Oh! You don't need to see his identification.
识别
Identify.
Identify.
Before I continue, would that player care to identify himself?
Identify yourself.
Look, let's identify the goals here.
Once you can identify them all by sight, they're a lot easier to avoid.
Please identify yourself.
识别一致
Identity.
Identity.
Except each girl's full identity is always kept secret. So my big question is, why would you want to hide the identity of a killer?
Somebody stole Donna's identity.
Super ladies, they're always trying to tell you their secret identity.
3 months ago, you lost the computer drive containing the identity of almost every NATO agent embedded in terrorist organizations across the globe.
身份
Ideology.
Ideology.
And I'm sure many of the people out there aren't even going to listen to what I just said because they have their own political ideology. But
The real thing in idiom, idiosyncrasy, and ideology.
Not love for a party or an ideology, but out of love for a woman.
Secretary for Ideology of the Oblast Communist Party.
Survival is the ultimate ideology.
思想体系
Idiom.
Idiom.
Your own idiom, you are a punk.
It's an idiom.
There's a Chilean idiom right at the top of the head.
When I'm in this idiom, I sometimes get a bit sort of carried away.
习语
Idle.
Idle.
Idle hands are the devil's work.
More than idle curiosity prompted my question.
That you have but slumbered here while these visions did appear. And this weak and idle theme no more yielding but a dream.
The left engine was still operating at idle.
You talk of feeling idle and useless.
懒惰的，无所事事，虚度。
Ignorance.
Ignorance.
You will testify against 3 officers who have already earned their pension and plead ignorance to questions directed at the other men.
Charlotte revealed her grappling ignorance when she called me a one-trick pony that can only win with an armbar.
Cleanse the world of their ignorance and sin.
Ignorance is bliss.
You are happy in your ignorance.
无知。
Ignorant.
Ignorant.
Allowed the Barrys to establish a brutal and ignorant tyranny over our lives, which has left my mother a broken woman.
Dead hoe, ignorant hoe, French hoe.
I cannot be ignorant that it is certainly to you that I owe this.
Ignorant like a child.
Yes, in more ignorant quarters.
无知识的。
Ignore.
Ignore.
How can you ignore me?
I'm gonna take the high road and I'm gonna ignore your nastiness.
Now we can ignore each other in peace.
Please don't ignore me.
Well, we can't ignore the fact that one of our neighbors is dead.
不理睬。
Ill.
Ill.
And they all claim to have started to feel ill within 3 to 5 hours after eating. I don't mean to speak ill of anyone.
I mean, it was forced maybe, but still humanistic.
If I hum it, will you play it?
Just tell him that Richard was taken ill, and Tony will explain it all later.
疾病，生病的，有害的。
Illegal.
Illegal.
It's illegal.
It's New York, where gambling is illegal and bookmaking is a felony.
Let's not talk about illegal, mister.
The company is setting you up as their fall guy for all of their illegal activity.
You just came out of a 1-hour photo in a strip mall, and your agency is clearly a front for something illegal.
违法的。
Illness.
Illness.
As such, his illness may have gone untreated far longer than is typical.
Isn't it convenient for a 52-year-old man who has no history of mental illness to suddenly have a complete psychotic breakdown just when he's about to be indicted?
Unfortunately, she kept her illness from me.
Well, I am sorry to hear of your illness, but since you have sacrificed your health for knowledge of my home country, I find you very attractive, and you're dealing with a really serious illness, and it brings up a lot of emotions.
疾病。
Illuminate.
Illuminate.
I'm simply trying to illuminate the terrain in which we currently find ourselves deployed.
It can illuminate, and yes, it can even inspire. But it can do so only to the extent that humans are determined to use it towards those ends.
The lights illuminate her like a spirit. The power to illuminate the far corners of the globe.
Young's record and his fate illuminate the most shattering truth that has emerged from this trial.
照明，照亮。
Illusion.
Illusion.
It is not just a memory or an illusion.
Only the illusion of coincidence.
Or at least the illusion of it.
The illusion you want to create that filmmaking isn't a collaborative effort, it's you and only you, and everybody else is just following fucking directions, because if it were me...
You must have seen an illusion, Sam.
幻影。
Illustrate.
Illustrate.
I did you about it, but I didn't illustrate how personal the watch was to me. I only brought it up to illustrate a point.
Let me illustrate.
That was to illustrate the fact that, contrary to popular belief, women of the time had the tongues of filthy sailors.
You know, baby, I'm just trying to illustrate that I am no longer willing.
举例说明。
Illustration.
Illustration.
Forgive my stupid illustration.
I rip up her picture, which she can then present as an illustration of my cruelty to her and her love for you.
This key section, uncovered tonight and obtained exclusively by CNN, shows an illustration of what is unmistakably a human figure inside a geometric structure of some kind.
Wedding gifts are an illustration of that. You have to let the folks at home see this illustration.
例证。
Image.
Image.
And solidify his image as an icon that will forever be remembered.
It's the snake image from the mine.
One thing that you must be aware of is that when your image is in a film and that film goes online,
the image of perfection, baby.
We are all made in God's image.
影像做的像图像
Imagery.
Imagery.
But it's kind of evocative, the imagery, anyway.
If you'll forgive the disgusting imagery.
Recurrent imagery has proven very common in cases of mass hysteria.
Satellite imagery coming through.
The current use of words instead of imagery is an obvious move against the non-English speaking population of the United States.
肖像
Imaginary.
Imaginary.
I crossed an imaginary line with a bunch of plants.
Imaginary boyfriend.
Somewhere in my head, sipping imaginary Merlot, talking like she knows shit about shit.
You know, one of those imaginary childhood friends.
You wrote, get your own imaginary friend, followed by a multiple choice question about Tom Selleck.
想象的
Imagination.
Imagination.
I want to bleach my imagination.
It's your imagination.
Leave it to your imagination.
Must be your imagination.
No. This is a figment of my imagination caused by too much stress.
想象